Hello and welcome to the Skywarn Spotter Training 2021 for the National Weather Service in Duluth. This is our recorded version, and we've split it up into 3 different parts to allow you to kind of easily digest it over some shorter videos. This is part 1, the introduction and monitoring the forecast. So my name is Joe Moore. I'm the warning coordination meteorologist for our office. I'm actually originally from the Philadelphia area, but I previously have worked at our Goodland, Kansas office, and I also worked at our headquarters office through my career. I've been here at the office for about 7 years, 6 as a forecaster and 1 as the warning coordination meteorologist. And I'm kind of your contact. If you're a spotter, I'm kind of your local contact at our office. If you have any questions about tours, just general weather service questions, that sort of thing. As you go through this training, you're going to need to grab a writing utensil and paper, or maybe open up a blank note or a document on your computer or your tablet or your phone. You're going to have to write down 3 code words if you would like to register as a spotter. This is kind of our way to prove that you've actually watched the videos and taken the training. Registration as a spotter is voluntary. You can always also just watch these videos for your own education and entertainment. So a little about our office at the National Weather Service in Duluth. So we're a dedicated team of about 20 meteorologists, there's 20 employees, and about 16 of whom are meteorologists, and we serve Northeast Minnesota, Northwest Wisconsin, and Western Lake Superior. We're open 24/7, and we're one of 122 very similar National Weather Service forecast offices across the country. You can see on this map here, we have neighboring offices to the west, Grand Forks, to the south in the Twin Cities, down to the southeast in La Crosse and Green Bay, and then over in Michigan, the Marquette, Michigan office. We produce forecasts and warnings for the public, a lot of which you may already know about, like tornado warnings and flash flood warnings. And then we also have a number of specific services we offer for the aviation community, fire, marine, transportation sectors, kind of a lot of other specialized services. Generally what we do, besides all of our public forecasts and warnings, is we're helping decision makers with weather and water decisions. So emergency managers, schools, that sort of thing. That's a lot of why we're here in your local community, why we exist. It's to warn people of dangerous weather conditions and help people make decisions to be safe. So what's a spotter? Why are you here? What's the purpose of this training? Why do we offer this training? So a spotter is someone who observes the weather, communicates those reports to the National Weather Service, stays safe, and that plays a critical role in helping the Weather Service and local officials. Anybody can be a spotter, and we actually welcome anyone to take our training and share reports with us. If you go through this training and you think you know someone who might be interested, let them know. Send them a link to this video. Tell them about this great training. We also offer live classes, and next year we should be offering in-person classes at a number of locations as well. If you're not from this area, if you're not from Northeast Minnesota and Northwest Wisconsin, your local office, your local National Weather Service has a Skywarn program. They may have an online version as well, so if you're not from this area, you can certainly watch the video, but definitely connect with your local office to see how they do their training there. A spotter is not someone that's going to be a weather expert. You don't have to have any formal education besides this course. You don't have to be a storm chaser. A spotter is not a storm chaser. And while most storm chasers are spotters, we don't condone storm chasing. We don't want you out there in a dangerous situation. Storms can be unpredictable, and so your safety is paramount. Don't go out there chasing the storms. A spotter is also not someone who is above the law. You don't get to wave around your spotter certificate to get out of a speeding ticket. You need to make sure that you're safe when you're out there, and that includes if you're driving around, making sure that you're abiding by all the laws. And of course, you're also not immune to the laws of physics. What that means is that lightning can still strike you, a flood can still wash you away. If it's dangerous to be outside, you need to seek shelter immediately. Just because you're a spotter doesn't mean that you're immune to these laws of physics. So why do we need spotters? What's so important about them? So we use a number of different tools to make our warnings. We use radar, which lets us look kind of 3-dimensionally into thunderstorms. And here in Duluth, our radar is based at our office in Duluth, and we have pretty good coverage. We actually have done a number of hardware and software updates over the years to improve our radar. And so we can actually see out pretty far in a pretty good quality. For places kind of in between radars like Western Minnesota, especially along the northern boundary, like in the Boundary Waters, International Falls, up here in Cook County, northeast Minnesota, and then parts of central Wisconsin. Our radar doesn't see as low to the ground. And that's really critical for us to be able to issue tornado warnings. We need to kind of see if that storm is producing enough low-level rotation. And so radar is great, but it's not perfect. We also look at the environment. We look at satellite imagery. We look at weather balloons. We look at computer models. We'll do a hand analysis of all of the observations. We want to see what is the atmosphere capable of, because we know from our science that in certain situations a tornado is possible, and in many other situations, it's not possible. And so we use that. So if you give us a call for a report, there might be situations where we're surprised or even skeptical because the environment might not support something. Sometimes the environment does support something and it doesn't happen. Maybe we think that there's going to be a lot of large hail with a storm, and we call and you're saying you're just getting a bunch of pea-sized hail. And so we kind of use your reports to help adjust our warnings. We also use our experience. We have over 120 hours of radar and warning training for all of our new employees that we have to go through. We also get hands-on time each year with a simulator that lets us practice issuing warnings. There's always at least one senior lead forecaster on shift who has usually 5 to 10 years or more of experience, and we're continuously learning from our past events. And we need your spotter reports. Your spotter reports of hail, tornadoes, flash flooding, that lets us know what is actually happening on the ground. None of these other tools, the radar, the environment, our experience, none of the other tools can really tell us, is hail really falling there? How big is it? Is there a tornado? Only our spotter reports can give us that information, and that's why your reports are so critical. We get a lot of spotter reports. Last year in 2020, we had over 4,000 reports. Now, a lot of these were rain and snow reports, but a number of them were severe weather, and over 800 came from people like you, trained spotters. This is a map showing just all of the kind of thunderstorm-related warnings and reports that we got. There's a color code up here at the top right that lets you know kind of what they mean. And the point of showing this map is to let you know that your reports really matter. They help us verify our warnings, or in some cases tell us to stop issuing the warnings if the storm has weakened. And also that severe weather really does happen everywhere. Yeah, there's a few places last year up here in Coochin County and Northwest St. Louis County and parts of Cook County. We didn't issue any severe thunderstorm warnings, but you really have to know that throughout an average year, almost everywhere across the Northland is going to see severe weather, and that's why it's important to be prepared for it. So how do you be prepared? Well, monitor the forecast. Check out the forecast. We're not expecting you to be a meteorologist, but we're going to give you some of the tools you can use to know what we're thinking and know what to expect when it comes to future storms. So, where to get the forecast? There's a number of different places to go. From the National Weather Service, we have a lot of different sources, and I don't even have everything listed here, but on our main website, weather.gov/Duluth, you can find graphics, hourly forecast, a forecaster discussion. You can actually read what our forecasters are thinking in the forecast discussion. We're also on Facebook and Twitter, and if you're on those platforms, please be sure to like and follow us on those platforms. And we also have NOAA Weather Radio. If you're out camping in a rural area where cell phone coverage isn't great, you can bring a NOAA Weather Radio along, tune to the nearest radio station, actually listen for the forecast, and when there's warnings, the warnings will play on there as well. There's a lot of other sources too. There's local TV and radio stations, media websites, social media, reliable apps. Even your county or your tribe may have an emergency notification system. We do have a handout that goes along with this course. If you register as a spotter, you'll get a link to it. And that handout does have links to most counties and tribe have some kind of notification system where they can actually give you warning information. A note about apps and other websites. Use websites and apps that are reliable sources. So something from your local TV meteorologist is going to be reliable. Something from a Facebook page of someone that you don't really know who they are, it's the new Facebook page that just popped up that says they do weather forecasts, but you don't really know who's behind it. Maybe take a little closer look and check reliable sources. In this day and age, there are a lot of places you can go for weather information, so it's good to look for reliable and especially local meteorologists. They're going to know our weather best. When it comes to the National Weather Service, we kind of issue a number of phases of products as we get closer and closer to storms. So in the days ahead of a storm or of severe weather being expected, the Storm Prediction Center and the National Weather Service in Duluth will issue a number of outlooks. the Storm Prediction Center's outlook and our hazardous weather outlook say stay tuned. What these are is these are for your decision making, and you would want to start to consider how is severe weather going to impact you. As you get closer, hours ahead of severe weather, we will issue what's called a watch. And a watch means be ready, have a plan for shelter if needed. And then when storms exist, we will issue warnings. A warning means that the threat is imminent or ongoing. It means time to act. And to help you kind of understand the difference between the watch and the warning, here's a graphic from another meteorologist, Brad Panovich, that we love to use. We love to use this analogy in that a cupcake watch would mean that the ingredients are in place. So when you hear watch, think about the ingredients. Everything's kind of on the table. When we have a tornado watch or a severe thunderstorm watch or a flash flood watch, that means we have a lot of ingredients present. That doesn't mean that, storms are guaranteed to produce tornadoes or flash flooding, but the ingredients are all there. A warning means it's here. It's happening right now or very soon, minutes away. The outlooks from the Storm Prediction Center look like this. This is an example from July 17th, 2020. And they use kind of a 1 through 5 risk scale, where 1, the marginal, the dark green risk, that's kind of your lowest risk for severe weather, and 5, high, being your highest risk. In this example on July 17th, 2020, you can see most of the Northland was in this orange, which is kind of the level 3 enhanced risk, or the red level 4 moderate risk. These outlooks are a great way to understand where exactly storms are predicted and how severe they could be. As you go up on this scale, this generally means more severe storms and more widespread coverage of storms is possible. Locally, we issue what's called a hazardous weather outlook. This is a plain language outlook where we kind of just break it down into plain English. When, where are the storms going to be? What are the threats going to be? This also plays on the NOAA weather radio as well. So if you're listening to the weather radio, this will play about every 15-20 minutes. Wording we might have in there, it might say, a better chance for strong to severe storms Friday night into Saturday. The day of, we'll start getting specific. We'll say things like damaging wind gusts to around 70 miles an hour. This can help you plan and you understand the decisions that you have to make by understanding what we're expecting. A watch means be ready, have a plan. We already might have storms ongoing or they're about to develop when we issue a watch. 3 types of watches that you need to know, the big ones that we issue in the summer. 1 is the severe thunderstorm watch. This is kind of the one that we issue the most of, and this is ingredients are in place for severe storms. And we're not talking 1 or 2 storms. We're usually talking pretty widespread thunderstorms with the threats being hail, damaging winds, and sometimes even tornadoes. Just because it's a severe thunderstorm watch doesn't mean that tornadoes aren't possible, but generally severe thunderstorm watch means large hail and or damaging winds. And we'll have on our social media, on our website, in our communication, we'll talk about what the threats are. Maybe it's a bigger wind risk than a hail risk, that sort of thing. The next kind of watch that we issue is a tornado watch. A tornado watch means the ingredients are in place for severe storms, and we think tornadoes are a higher threat than normal. So those are very rare. We might only issue 1 or 2 tornado watches a year. These should grab your attention because if conditions are present that could produce tornadoes, they're also going to produce some of the largest hail and some of the most damaging winds. So tornado watch, really get your guard up. Maybe cancel plans. Maybe don't go hiking. Maybe if you're camping, make sure that you bring a weather radio along and make sure you know that a tornado could happen and where you're going to go for shelter. And finally, the flash flood watch. These are actually issued a little bit farther out, usually about 12 to 24 hours ahead of time, and this means that flash flooding is possible. We issue about 1 to 3 of these a year. When it comes to warnings, it's time to act. The threat is imminent or it's already occurring. Warnings are issued when the threat is basically here or it's about to get to you in the next 20 to 30 minutes at most. This is kind of your last warning, as the name implies. We issue them for polygon shapes. You can see an example here from last summer. And so these yellow boxes are the severe thunderstorm warning in this software. If you watch TV, you'll see TV meteorologists show the warning boxes, or if you use an app, you'll see the warning boxes on the app. That's the area that we think the threat is highest for, and that's where you need to be taking cover. Your reports help us make those warning decisions. Your reports help us understand, is this storm producing a threat? Is it confirmed? Is it actually happening? Or maybe it's not happening as bad as we were expecting. The three main types of warnings that we issue are severe thunderstorm warning, and that's for either winds of 58 plus miles an hour or hail of 1 inch or larger, or both. And we issue about 120 to 150 of those each year. The tornado warning is much more rare, and that requires either a spotter report or strong radar indication of a tornado. Those we can issue 5 to 10 of per year, but a lot of times it comes and goes in little spurts. And so we have years where we issue 5 or 7, and then we have years where we issue none. And so a tornado warning, if we issue a tornado warning, you need to seek shelter immediately. And we'll talk about where to seek shelter later on in this presentation. Finally, flash flood warning. Flash flooding warning means that there's an imminent flood threat to life and property within the next 6 hours. We only issue a flash flood warning if we really think it's serious. If roads could be washed away, if rivers could rise to the point that they could, cause impacts to people. When you hear a flash flood warning, take it seriously. All right, it's time for code word number 1. Your first code word is warning. That's warning, all lowercase. WARNING, warning. So why are you here again? It's your reports. Your reports, when we are issuing warnings, help us confirm. And we can actually update a report to say, trained weather spotters reported this. We think this storm is going to produce 2-inch hail because we got a 2-inch hail report from someone that this storm just went through. And so everyone that's ahead of this needs to take shelter. And this is a previous warning, and you can see these little purple icons indicate hail. Those were all hail reports that occurred downstream of that initial 2-inch report. Your reports could be the reason that someone takes shelter. How to receive warnings? Well, very similar to that slide I showed earlier, there's a number of ways. There's NOAA weather radio, and I would strongly recommend getting a NOAA weather radio that has the public alert logo on it. That means that you can customize it to only get alerts when they're issued kind of for your general vicinity. Reliable apps that have push alerts, wireless emergency alerts, which are available for tornado and some flash flood warnings. There are also commercial services that may be free or that you have to pay for that can text you or call you. And also your county might have a service that already offers you emails or calls or text messages to let you know when warnings are issued. Other good options that can't wake you up, your local media is great, but the TV can't wake you up. You have to turn on the TV or tune to the radio to be able to know what's going on. Apps are good, but they have to be able to push the alert to you. And a lot of times you need to make sure that you don't have do not disturb mode on, because that may cause alerts not to get to you. And I'll talk about that in a second. Another thing is outdoor warning sirens. You may have warning sirens in your community that your local community operates. Remember that those are mainly meant for people that are outdoors. And so if you're indoors sleeping in the middle of the night, you might not be able to hear that over the roar of the storm outside. NOAA weather radio, again, is strongly recommended. There's a continuous weather broadcast on there, so you can tune in anytime to listen to what the conditions are in the forecast. And then when there are warnings, if you get a weather radio that has SAME technology, SAME, or if it has the public alert logo on it, those will be capable of waking you up when we issue a warning for your area. Again, wireless emergency alerts are great. They'll come right to your phone. And most phones built or sold within the last 5-10 years are capable of this. On an iPhone, it's under the settings and then notifications. You have to scroll all the way to the bottom to make sure all of those are turned on. On Android, sometimes it's in the settings app. Sometimes it's in the messages app setting. So check out your phone. If you Google wireless emergency alerts and the name of your phone model, you'll be able to find out what where to find that setting. So make sure you have those turned on. That's the end of part 1. Thanks for watching. Please join us for parts 2 and 3.